Hey friends, welcome back to Pages and Grace. If you're new here, my name's Jess. Thank you so much for joining me today. We're going to talk about some books for December. So today we're going to talk about my pile of possibilities for December. I am not someone who likes to set a TBR. I am such a mood reader. I don't do well with making myself a list and then going a different direction throughout the month. So I'm making a list, and these are the books that I want to get to, or some of them I absolutely want to get through, because I made a list in January of my 24 and 2024 books that I want to complete, and I still have several left on that list. So those are definite I want to get through, priority books. But then there's also those cozy Christmas reads I also want to pick up. I've gotten through a lot of those, but I do have a few left that I want to share with you today. So I had great intentions of putting together this grand Bookmas list of like 5 to 10 videos, and that still may happen. I don't know, but I don't make any promises to have a consistent schedule whatsoever. My life is chaotic right now, and my schedule changes weekly. So we're going with it. We're going with it. I also didn't intend to take quite a break in November. It hits me out of nowhere. November is when we lost Mom 3 years ago now. And that fog, it's not intentional. It's not something that I'm like, oh, I'm doing good this year. And then all of a sudden I realized, man, maybe I wasn't doing as good as I thought I was. Thanksgiving has passed. The season of Advent is here. In my church, it's a liturgical new year. It's a celebration. And I absolutely love the season of Advent, that season of preparation, preparing our hearts for the coming of the Lord. It is something, there's nostalgia in there from my childhood. There's also just this renewal of your commitment to the Lord that I love Advent. I love it so much. So you might see a little bit of that throughout the month with me. We'll see. We will see what I have time for. And I'm sorry if you can hear my children. They are definitely being cared for out there. My husband is home today and able to give me a minute to film some videos. So let's talk about the books I want to read for the month of December. All right, so what's left on my 24 and 2024 list? We have The Yearling, which I've actually started the audio for this. I was posting over on my Instagram that November, I started so many books that I just could not get into. And I know a lot of it was just that fog, getting into the holidays, getting through Thanksgiving. And don't get me wrong, we enjoyed our Thanksgiving. We had lots of family time, but it is a difficult time of the year. And so I'm hoping this month I can get into this one. I have the audio for it, and I've heard so many people say they absolutely love this book. So I want to give it the time that it deserves to get through. The next book is A Lineage of Grace by Francine Rivers. I absolutely love Francine Rivers books. I have read 4 of them this year so far, and I've enjoyed all of them. I think The Masterpiece is still up there for one of my favorite books of the year. But this is one where we follow different women through the Bible. We have Tamar, Rahab, Ruth, Bathsheba, and Mary. And so I really want to get to this month. It is a chunker, but I've flown through her books before. So I hope I get through this one this month. Another author that I fly through her books is Ruta Sepetys, and we have Between Shades of Grey. Definitely on my list to get to this month. And then I have several nonfiction. Imagine that nonfiction gets saved till the end of the year. I might have myself a little nonfiction December over here. But Epic by John Eldredge, tiny book. I can breeze through this one, no problem. Adopted for Life. I don't know anything about this book. I think I found it at a thrift store. And I want to read a couple more books about adoption. If anyone has a recommendation, specifically our situation is adopted out of foster care. I know that can be a little bit different than like infant adoption from another country or private adoption. I just want to find a few books to hear others' perspective on their journey through adoption. And specifically, I want to find something that is from the perspective of someone who has been adopted, and just to help me lead my children in the best way possible. Okay, the next one is a gardening book, which honestly, after Christmas, I go straight back into like, ooh, what seeds am I going to order for next year? What are my plans? How am I going to rearrange the garden and make it better this year? So, one resource I like to go to is Jill Riggin, The Tiny But Mighty Farm. I have not read this book yet. I don't think I've started. I looked through the pictures and they're beautiful. But really after Christmas, my brain just shifts. Like, okay, winter can be done. Let's go back into spring where we have all the lovely gardening things. This one I actually started it, I think before our trip to Minnesota, for the holidays. That one is Everybody Needs to Forgive Somebody by Alan R. Hunt. And it's been okay so far. I enjoyed the first story. It kind of reads like a Chicken Soup for the Soul, where there's different people coming, like the different stories that are compiled together. And I enjoyed the first one. One of them seemed a little, I don't know, I wanted more meat from the story, and I don't think I'm going to get that from this book, but it's tiny. It was on my 24 list. I'm going to get through it, and I'll let you know my thoughts on it at the end. And the last one, yeah, I think it's the last one I have left. I may have to recheck my list here, but Rediscover Jesus by Matthew Kelly. I enjoy Matthew Kelly's books a lot. His books end up following the same stories, which obviously he's drawing from the stories of his life. You're going to hear some of the same stories again. I attempted, oh my goodness, I just put pictures in just my baby from last year. That was last year's preschool picture. Oh, the baby. So anyways, this book, I attempted it earlier this year, but I had just read a couple other Matthew Kelly books and it wasn't the time. So this is a book I want to work my way through this month as well. Okay, so those are the ones that I've had like on my list all year that I haven't got to yet. So there's one more book from that list, and that is Fascinating Stories of Forgotten Lives by Charles R. Swindoll. I've read some of the other books in this series before. He always has such insightful takes on the lives of people in the Bible. There are some times in his books where I'm like, I don't know if I agree with that. But for the most part, they have been wonderful. And I think Esther, the story of Esther, I read that one in college years and years and years ago. The story of Esther was probably my favorite one, the first one that I read, which got me reading through this series. I started this book actually last night, and already so many impactful things. I think my favorite part so far has been people that are in the background, people that, how much significance people that are in the background, doing the daily work, doing the things that need to be done, who are in the Bible, but their full story may not be known, how important they are. And there was one in there. There were a couple questions in here that just hit my heart last night, and I wanted to share it with you. It's kind of what I think about this channel. So when I started this, I'm like, nobody's going to want to listen to me talk about books. I joked with my husband years ago about starting a Booktube channel, and that my thoughts were going to be, after a book, like my brain just like all the details, it takes me so long to write a review. But I said to him, my thoughts on books are like, it was good. Yeah. And now here I am with a Booktube channel. So one of my biggest motivators to start this was not necessarily to just talk about books, but through books to share the love of Christ. And these two questions really hit, like reaffirming my yes to start this channel and why I want to continue to make these videos and talk to people who love books just as much as I do. One of my favorite questions that he asked in this book that I was reading through last night that made me stop and like open up the book. I was listening to it. I wasn't physically reading it because I was putting up a Christmas tree. But which is more important to you, the quality of your impact on the world or the size of it? Oh, absolutely. On social media, I know numbers. There's always this like push of, oh, I want more followers, or this many people like to post, or all those. I get stuck in that rut. But what's more important, the number of people you reach or the impact on the people around you? That was pretty powerful to me. And I also, like, if you ever find yourself stuck in that, one thing that I do that does help me is to remember, like, oh, I remember on Instagram, I was like, I have 100 people following me. Like, if I was talking to 100 people here, I would be so intimidated. So, like, only having a certain number or whatever it is, like, wow, I get to sit here and talk to 100 people and to share the joy and the love of Christ with them. 100 people. And if I wasn't putting this content out there, I would meet 0 of them. I think it's amazing. So this weekend I hit like 1,500 followers on Instagram, which I never imagined that many people would care about my thoughts on books. Remembering that that's 1,500 people. Now, some accounts are crazy and I try to delete those as soon as they come in. But that's 1,500 people that I get to talk to and to pray for. How powerful is that? I'm blown away by this whole, I'm blown away by the impact that social media can have and the friendships and community that can be built around it. I am so thankful for this community each and every day, and for the people that I've met and the people that I'm yet to meet. And if I haven't met you yet, please comment down below so I can say hi. Anyways, yeah, I'm going on. I'm going on and on, but just know, like that. This song that gets stuck in my head and I listen to on a regular basis, specifically when I feel inadequate or down about something involving social media, is that's not my why. That's not my reason for sharing here on YouTube and Instagram. And the song I always think of is Nobody by Casting Crowns, with Matthew West, where it's like I'm a nobody trying to tell everybody about somebody who saved my soul. Very, very, very true. So that's my 2 cents about that. Great book so far. There's already been some points where I'm like, yeah. But overall, I really enjoy the book. So my Advent devotional for this year is A Thrill of Hope. This is from Blessed Is She. I've never tried one of the devotionals before, so I'll let you know my thoughts on it. It is a Catholic devotional, so I like to be upfront with that. If somebody's not interested in something that's Catholic, this one is, so maybe not for you. But I'm excited to pick this one up for the season of Advent. And the next one is my Bible. I am so close to finishing the Bible for the second time. I have been loving it. One of the books that I found recently, or one of the books that really hit me this go around, was the Book of Sirach. And again, it's a Catholic Bible. So I had read it before, but it hadn't hit me quite the same way. It's a book of wisdom, and it was, I don't know, I highlighted so much in the Book of Sirach this year, and there were many, many parts that really just hit me, and I needed to read them right when I did. So I listened to the Bible in a Year podcast with Father Mike Schmidt. Love it. Absolutely love it. This is my second time through it, and even though I've listened to it before, this year I'm definitely getting different things out of it. The first year I listened to it was actually the year after my mom passed away, so there were definitely grief. There was a lot of grief going through there. Actually coming back to the Catholic Church at that point in my life. That's a story for a whole other day if you're interested in hearing it. But oh man, it was so good. And this year it's such a different perspective, but still so impactful. And I've already heard all the podcasts. I've already read through and heard the same commentary, but I'm picking out different things that really impact my life today. So whatever your belief system, I highly, highly, highly recommend finding some way, whatever your preferred way is, to read through the Bible. Bible in a Year is a chronological Bible reading, and it takes something that was so difficult for me to get through before, turns it into the beautiful, amazing story of salvation. And oh, it's so good. It's the best book you're gonna read this year, I tell you. So please, if you have not done it before, find a way, find something that you think is gonna work for you and try it. You will not regret it. You will not regret it. Okay, so I have 4 more Christmas books on my list that I have not gotten to yet. I have made my way through quite a few Christmas books this year, more than I think I did last year. I don't know, that might not be true. More than I feel like I read more than I did last year. I only have 4 left that are the highest priority on my radar. I have several more options over here if I need more, but I don't think that's going to happen with all of my 2024 list. So I just finished Cross Country Christmas by Courtney Walsh last night. Loved it. Highly recommend. I will talk about it more in my November wrap up. But these are the 4 left that I would like to get to during this Christmas season. The first one is The Christmas Town by Donna Van Lier. I don't remember the name of it. It had a big tree and it was a navy blue cover. I absolutely loved it. It surprised me so much how much I loved that book. So far, I know there's foster care. Yeah. She spent many of her childhood in foster homes, but it was done so well in the other book. I hope this book follows the same way. This one definitely, they're short little books, but they had such a big impact. So I'm looking forward to picking this one up. And this one is Christian. This is a Christian Christmas read. And then the next one is Sarah Morgan, Christmas Sisters. So Sarah Morgan I have not read for years, and I picked this one up quite a while ago. I think I've only read 1 or 2 books by her, but they blew me out of the water. So I'm hoping that this one is along that same vein. From what I remember, it was clean. I can't promise you though, so don't take this as a recommendation. This is a, hey, I want to pick it up and check it out kind of book. But in this one, there's sisters that were all adopted are coming back. I remember trying Sarah Morgan when I was on a mission to find like clean romance to read, and that's very, very difficult. This was even, I think, 2019, 2020 that I was still looking for authors that were writing clean romance, because all I could find were the books that were plastered all over Barnes and Noble and Amazon storefronts and like but I think, if I remember right, this one was fairly clean. Now there might be content as far as like abuse or things that have happened in the past. I do remember it was a very intense read. But I will let you know more of my thoughts and what I decide coming up after I read it. And then this is the second book in this series by Karen Shaler, Finding Christmas. I really enjoyed Christmas Camp. I think there were mixed reviews on it on Goodreads when I read it. Last year, but this is the second book. I really enjoyed the first one, so hopefully I feel the same about the second one in the series. And the last one, but not least, is Christmas with the Crank by Courtney Walsh. This is her new Christmas book for this year, and I'm excited to pick it up. I love Courtney Walsh's writing. It keeps you going. It keeps you interested. It's funny. It's heartwarming. It is clean. All the things that I want in a Christmas book. She is a Christian, but this one is usually a secular Christmas book. But I am so excited to pick this one up. I am going to wait a little bit because I just finished Cross Country Christmas by her, and I want to give them some space between books to make sure I keep them separate in my brain. So the next one is a buddy read that I'm doing with Bethany from Bethany Brings Books here on YouTube. If you haven't checked her channel out, I will link her down below. But that is A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens. I have read. I think it's a children's version of it, or an abridged version of A Christmas Carol. And this December, we're going to be buddy reading this through A Christmas Carol. I just watched her video that came out today and said she might be reading some of the other books in here too, so maybe I'll follow along with her and keep going, but we shall see the time that I have and get through what I can. But I'm very excited to be buddy reading that this month. I always love to throw in at least one buddy read a month. even even if my schedule's packed. I love having those conversations, those deeper conversations that you may not be able to have in the comment section of YouTube or even on Instagram. Just having that dedicated time, like, hey, we're gonna read this book together, have some conversation, and get to know some more people. Have this conversation time, and it's a lot of fun. If you haven't tried it yet, please, please, please do. The last book is not Christmas, but I am so, so excited. This one may end up in January, but I really, really want to get to it right now. But that 24 list has to happen first. I've got to get through that. This can be my reward after I finish all that nonfiction. And that is Isabella by Melissa Miyoko Scott. I have loved following Melissa on Instagram. She was one of the first people that I connected with on Instagram when I started it in July of last year. And this book, she's a Christian. It's YA fantasy. It's beautiful. The cover is gorgeous. And inside we have a chapter heading. Oh, it's a beautiful book. It's a beautiful book, and I cannot wait to check this out. And I will let you know my thoughts on it as soon as I do. Hopefully it's this month. Hopefully it is. Yeah, if I use it as a reward for getting through nonfiction. I love reading nonfiction. I really do. But it is a lot more time consuming, and sometimes it's content that I need to get to, but I want to read the fun stuff. That's my list of books for this season. We shall see how much of it I get through. If I don't finish the whole 24 list, it's okay. It's just a goal I made for myself. I am so sorry if you can hear my boys out there. My house is not quiet. It is not a quiet place, but plans change and I film when I can. I hope you have a blessed start to this Advent season, and I will see you again very soon. Bye, guys.